The Golden Age is a forgotten primordial period in the history of mankind, the time of the founding and the rule of the first men and their involvement in the shaping of the world itself, thriving even while being besieged by demigods, demons, and other rival forces, before finally being annihilated by the gods, giving way to the much later heroic age of which many legends abound. The name often attributed to the great and influential empire of the first race takes a variety of forms in many different circles worldwide: the Utopia, Atlantis, Lemuria, Movia, and more. But for the sake of simplicity, we will refer to this once glorious, now fallen kingdom simply as the Golden Order. The ages of humanity are often the most complex of the eras discussed in theology, with information regarding the first generation humans especially having been destroyed or lost after not only the fall of man, but the calamity that followed it. Most records regarding its chronology are merely a relatively rough outline of following events. The early antediluvian Earth was home to a host of powerful races, including the first men, who were created from the almighty power of the Godhead, said to have been made in the archetypal image of the Absolute, and as a result, being regarded as the chosen race. Among the primordial men were spirits, who at this time walked comfortably upon the material plane, without obstruction by the invisible veil between worlds. Jinn, demons, fey beings such as elves, and even divine spirits, are accounted as relating with both mortal beasts and humans, even having their own small empires, from which they ruled using mortal vessels, and as a result, half-blood beings, such as demigods, became established. In some legends, these many primordial races had recognized mankind's unnatural potential and would proceed to educate them in the ways of magic, warcraft, and various other disciplines, as a symbol of trust and friendship. In further tales, some of these boons came from beyond the stars, as humanity used their power to interact with other mortal creatures from other planets or other dimensions entirely, exchanging cultural ideas. These discoveries were subsequently recorded upon tablets, likely of gold, due to the popular belief that gold, or at least something similar, was a prized commodity to first men. Armed with their vast knowledge, mankind began to form the very first empire, whose true name is lost to time, as is the official name of their ruler, though many potential hypotheses abound. As time went on, the Golden Order soon began to distance itself from the spirits and other races that aided them, rapidly growing beyond the need for their help. As their borders grew, so did their hubris, and some of their kin began involving themselves in the use of ever darker arcana, falling further and further into horrific depravity. The rest of their people likewise made little to no effort to stop this descent into madness. Ultimately, their decadence had reached such a point that the heavens decided they were too dangerous to allow to remain together, and so the great nation was shattered by the forces of the divine, with the few survivors scattering to the four corners of the earth. Some say that the empire was now fully destroyed, and a small portion of their society was able to shift into an alternate dimension, escaping the demise of the rest of their darker kin, whilst others claim that some managed to escape, using a small fleet of flying ships, waiting until the time is right to return home. When it comes to the Utopian Golden Age of Atlantis in esoteric circles, many theories and descriptions regarding the lives the Golden Men led are in circulation. In modern occultism, the humans of the Golden Order derived their name from their prolific use of a dazzling golden ore that some suspect to have been orichalcum. In older legends, however, the golden title was noticeably more metaphorical, referring to their perfect physiology and nature when compared to later generations. Whether the humans of this era were highly advanced or not varies between sources, with some believing them to have been a naked wild people and others suggesting the complete opposite. In biblical accounts of the ancient period of Adam, his close descendants, such as the famous Methuselah and Tubal-Cain, were described as having swords and crafting complex weapons and tools, at the very least suggesting an established system of smithing long before mankind regressed into a much lesser state. As previously stated, the empire had a great love of gold, which was inlaid in every building and made up most of their jewelry and trinkets. They employed it in almost all their constructions, which are said to far surpass those of both the ancient American and Egyptian pyramids, as well as the megaliths of Europe. As they grew in power, so too did their abilities, as well as their arrogance. Many scholars, especially those of modern occult circles, suggest they may have had a libertarian and socialist political field, but this is, like many aspects of this bygone era, mere speculation. What does correlate across beliefs and sources is that during the Golden Order, humanity was a heavily individualistic society, with almost all personal pursuits being largely allowed without any form of outside interference. In particular, anything involving the expansion of the empire was encouraged long into the Silver Age, and thus no real limits were established when it came to the study of the esoteric, occult, or the spiritual. Heinous tests were often carried out on various non-humans and their slaves, and the negative effects on the natural world due to their lack of restraint was largely ignored, with doors to forbidden realms being opened quite often. Some texts even talk of a failed attempt by the Golden Order to invade the heavens, for which they were harshly punished by the Supreme God directly in ancient scripture. Mankind's relationship with God was known to be strongest during the primordial era, where they worshipped the Godhead with the sun as his primary avatar, a symbol of light, power, and wisdom. Their worship of the Absolute as the sun is believed by investigators to be the basis of every religion, in which the sun is a notable symbol of God. The Golden Order, as previously stated, was seen as being more or less libertarian by esoteric researchers, and as such it likely did not possess centralized governments. Instead, they were supposedly ruled by the chiefs, in the form of the very first most powerful members of their kind. In legend, such precursors have included the Abrahamic Adam Eve, Hindu Manu Shatarupa, Norse Manus, Finnish Kaleva clan, unnamed Greek Proto-Anthropos, and many more. The allegorical dragon, accused of causing the downfall of the empire and its rulers, is stated in the Book of Zion to be the serpent of Eden, or alternatively Cain, the king of Nod. His twisted guidance fed the ego of the powerful golden race, speeding up their impending doom merely to spite the chief kings of the Golden Order. Those that followed his rule are known as the Devatatas in occult circles, meaning the shrouded lords. The esoteric gifts wielded by the primal men defied the limits of any arts known to later mages and occult masters. They were believed to have also developed more natural ways of collecting energy, albeit with still strange tools. One of these was the acclaimed Firestone, a device that acted as a supermassive solar battery and provided them with even more energy. Other inventions attributed to their genius have included flying ships, which many believe to refer to a form of complex aircraft, electric and nuclear appliances, strange weapons, the fired flaming arrows that may possibly refer to archaic firearms, poisonous gas bombs, death rays, anti-gravity tech, and even flying cities. They created esoteric items that catered to any and every mild inconvenience in their more or less immortal lives, becoming extremely lax as a community over time due to the incredibly rapid revolution brought about through their vast and unrivaled adaptability. Of all their developments, none surpassed what is known today only as the Word. This unique ability was a technique built and taught to all golden citizens and allowed them to easily harness the full might of their adaptable nature. All things are possible with the Word, but has long since been lost to time. Possible derivatives of the word have included the sacred terms AUM as well as TAU. In the doctrines of the Theosophy, golden humans were capable of altering living flesh using the transmutation arts to create chimeras, an artificial race of hybrid abominations that served the Golden Order in a multitude of ways, from war to pleasure. They could literally twist the gift of life and bend it to their own will, creating an entire species of thralls to serve every need possible. Such a vast display of power was commonplace during the Golden Age, and the arcana of the later ages could never even come close to replicating the mighty gifts born of the first era. It may even be the case that some of the mythical monsters encountered by later generations were the result of such usage of this skill running rampant until it was lost to the annals of time. Other legends claim the Golden Colleges had unlimited control over elemental forces of nature as well as cosmic or universal laws, and their skills allowed them to embrace, and I quote, all hidden things. They had unlocked the secrets of true levitation and most notoriously developed unnamed esoteric engines that allowed them to not only weaponize spiritual energies, but also adapted for domestic use, providing them with a nigh eternal power source. What the esoteric batteries actually looked like is up to debate, though many believe them to have greatly resembled monolithic crystal constructs that punctured the veil, sapping the energies of the paranormal and allowing them to easily create calamitous supernatural tools, unlike anything mortal mages and occultists of the later ages had ever seen. The device generated nearly infinite power, enough to power the massive cities of the empire, and allowed their skills to flourish far faster than any of their descendants. They could employ talents initially attributed to beings made of pure energy, primarily spirits, as well as beings known to have access to unnaturally large pools of power, such as prime beasts, many of whom pose a threat to the gods themselves. The Golden Ones suffered from an ideological malady as opposed to a physical one, ambition. For the men of gold had come to realize their own unique nature, and instead of gaining humility and wisdom, they had delved into ever deeper hubris, believing themselves capable of wresting creation from the hands of the divine intellects themselves. As a result, becoming increasingly more careless, making pacts, deals, and bonds with shadowy entities of the void that even they had little to no hope of ever controlling. This arrogance corrupted their magnanimous teachings, giving rise to the first lodges of the left-hand path that stained the history of mankind. The mighty gods, in all their divine fury, condemned this new dark age, and so the Golden Age was no more.